Hi, I'm Doug Powers, and I'm going to be directing Hamlet at BardFest 2019 in October. And with auditions coming up in the very near future, I thought I'd let you in on a little bit about our production and get you ready to be part of it. Well, Hamlet is the big one. It's the fifth year of BardFest, and the producers of the festival wanted to decided it was time to hit the big one. Hamlet being one of Shakespeare's best known works and arguably the greatest English language drama ever written. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to direct it. At the time we arranged this, we didn't know there was going to be another production just ahead of us through Indie Shakes, which is fabulous. Hamlet is the sort of play that can take infinite interpretations. So I'm excited to see what our two companies put together for this work this year in this town. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do and then following up with our production a couple of months later. So one of the exciting things about our production, I think, is that we're not cutting it to a 2-hour runtime. When you do that, and a lot of people do, and sometimes they have to, you're losing about half the play. And I think there's a lot of really important stuff in there that ends up getting lost when you do that. So our production, I intend for it to run a tad long by BardFest standards. I'm not doing the entire thing, of course, but I'm looking for a runtime of between 2.5 to 2:45, because then you get the opportunity to keep a lot of those elements that are frequently lost in shorter productions. And also, this is something Branagh said about his 4-hour film version, and he's right, that when you cut that play to 2 hours, it's just a breakneck pace from one really important heavy scene to the next. And when you keep a little more of the text in there, you have the opportunity for those chances to slow down and breathe and laugh even occasionally. And it is actually less exhausting, I think, to have those spaces in there than it is to just slog straight through a 2-hour runtime where everything is happening on top of each other. Another really exciting opportunity with this play is around the casting that I plan to do. There are approximately 30 roles in this play, which is huge. And I plan to do it with around, give or take, 12 actors. And obviously not everyone will be doubling. I won't ask Hamlet to double, for example. So that means a lot of people are going to be quite busy playing 4 and maybe 5 different characters. And that's such an exciting opportunity, I think, for an actor. I love doing that as an actor. I think it provides a lot of really exciting opportunity to explore differentiating characters by more than just putting on a hat. It's going to be really important to have actors who can do that, who can give us very distinct characterizations for their 3 or 4 or more different characters, so that when you walk back on stage, we know it's not the person we last saw you as by more than just what you're wearing. That's going to be a really critical piece, and I find that such an exciting challenge as an actor, so I'm delighted to give that opportunity to a group of other actors. The other thing is, there are only 2 roles in this play that are written as women, and I have pre-cast both of them. That said, I plan do my casting for this play as open as possible in terms of what these characters need to look like, what gender they need to be, who they are. It's what can you do in terms of your performance. So that, I think, is also an exciting opportunity. So I think it's an exciting opportunity for a relatively small group of actors, and many more actors than that in that space, and it starts to get awfully crowded, particularly in the dressing room spaces in between, as the other show is going on in the ND11. For the record, we are going to be on the Basile stage in the Indie Fringe building, and we're all alone. We're the only show from Bardfest in there, so we can use that space to our heart's content, and the dressing room space and the hallway space and all that is still going to be pretty crowded. So I want to try to keep it to a relatively small number of actors. And since Bardfest pays its actors by distributing a share of the profits, that also is an advantage to keeping the cast list small, because the fewer the number of actors, the more money we're able to offer each of them. But primarily, I find the artistic challenge of being able to play lots of different characters in a relatively short span of time. By the end of the evening, some of the cast may have played 5 different people, depending on exactly how I break it down. So I love that about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we get, and what this group of actors can do with that opportunity. So hopefully you'll want to be a part. I think one of the greatest mistakes, and one of the easiest mistakes to make when you're approaching a play that is this well known, that has been produced this many times in 400 plus years, is that to get too lost in the fact that everyone knows, at least at some level, or at least a lot of people know, at least at some level, what the plot of this play is. And the trap that is so easy to fall into, but that will be absolute death for our production, is to just mark time from one moment to the next. So this is when this happens, and this is when that happens, and then we move on to this next thing, and then Hamlet has another soliloquy. That is one thing I plan to be extremely diligent about making sure we do not do that, and to keep in mind that these characters that we're portraying have never lived this experience before. This story is completely new to them. They don't know how it's going to turn out, even though we all do, and everyone in the audience probably does, at least most of them. But we have to keep in mind that every moment has to be fresh and alive and new for these characters, because they've never experienced it before. And I said this to my Merchant of Venice cast last year. It was true of Merchant of Venice, and if anything, it's more true about Hamlet, is that every scene you're in, probably true about any Shakespeare, but any scene you're in, your character's entire destiny depends on the outcome of that scene. It's impossible to overplay the stakes in a Shakespeare play, I think, especially one like Hamlet, because not only is it this character's personal fate that hangs on the balance, but all the way up to their entire country's fate. I mean, Denmark, as a country, as an independent country in this story, ceases to exist. By the end of it, it's ruled by a Norwegian prince. So the entire Danish royal family is dead. So it is not merely personal stakes, but it's your entire country is at stake, and depends on the outcome of every scene. So I think that's yet another challenge that I want to present to the cast, is how do we make sure that we aren't just marking time from one moment to the next, context in this very familiar story, but how do we make it new and fresh and alive for these characters who are playing out extremely important and significant events in their own lives and in the lives of their entire country. So I hope that even if you had been thinking, oh, we don't need another Hamlet in town this year after Indy Shakes Hamlet, or even if you've been thinking, well, they've done some great casting, so is there really even anything worthwhile to work on in this production? Or if you've just been intimidated by Shakespeare or by Hamlet, I hope you'll come out and give it a shot, because I think we'll have some really good stuff. Certainly some very rewarding work for the actors. I'll make sure of that. Nobody's going to be sitting around with nothing to do, and there'll be something really interesting to chew on and rewarding artistically to work on for everyone in the cast, and it's exciting to think about presenting this massive undertaking of a play, and really explore how to bring these characters to a new kind of life after 420 odd years. So, like I said, I hope you will visit the BarkFest website and put in your email to request an audition time, and come out to auditions and come and join us. Thanks.